Nick, go ahead.
Hey, Scott. Can you sort of just take us back to yesterday? How did you feel? What was it like out there in your first game?
Yeah, I think more importantly, it just felt good to be back out there to get through the whole rehab process, to go through, you know, all the obstacles that I've kind of had to undergo the last couple of years, and to get to that point was a big step for me physically, mentally, a lot of different things. But I felt good out there. I was happy with the way I felt. I was happy with the way I threw the baseball. Mentally I was going a little bit faster than I probably wanted to, but I think that was just kind of the extra adrenaline that was kicking in, facing hitters from a different team, in a real game, live game situation, and so it was good overall. So I'm just going to continue to build on that and start to tighten some things up from a pitching perspective. The way I want to attack hitters and shape my pitches and things like that.
You trying to do pitching wise or here early in spring that might be a little bit different than past years? Are you looking for specific sort of benchmarks from yourself and or things that you're trying to do or learn about yourself here early that might be different from past years?
Not necessarily. I think my goal is just to kind of execute my pitching fundamentals, just going out there, attacking, getting ahead of hitters, making sure I'm able to locate my fastball on both sides of the plate, be able to put my off-speed pitches where I want them generally, whether they be for a strike or for a ball, depending on the count and what I'm trying to do with that particular batter. But that's primarily the main focus right now, just make sure that my mechanics are all synced up and in a position where I can execute on a consistent basis, and then just get ahead and kind of let the at bat dictate kind of what to throw.
Yeah. And then what were you before the game? What were you trying to get to this spring to know that you're going to be in a Cactus League game? You know what I mean? What were you trying? What was the goal to get to that point?
Yeah, it was kind of what we normally do in spring training. Come out, we throw a couple of bullpens early, throw a couple of live outings early. Before we get into the games, we took an extra bullpen and extra live batting practice just to make sure that I was ready, because I was about a week behind guys coming into it, because we took a little bit longer in January in my throwing program, just to make sure that everything was squared away, everything was good, my body was healing and recovering properly. So we had started the bullpens a little bit later than I normally would, so it kind of set me back a little bit, but we were able to kind of offset that by throwing some extra bullpens and throwing an extra live outing. So I think from now until the end, I believe I should be primarily in games moving forward.
Cool. Thanks, dude.
Mr. Ringlesby?
Scotty, do you feel there's enough time for you to be ready for when the season opens?
Yeah, I think so. In the normal course of a spring training, I'll get anywhere between 6 to 10 outings in games. I think that's what I'm lined up for currently. I think I'm on the docket for 8 appearances, including yesterday. So I think that should be enough time. But the telltale will be just how my body's recovering. My hope by the end of camp is to be able to get into a back-to-back situation and feel good on both days and the days leading after it.
When you talk about telltale signs, having been through the situation several times now,
Mm-hmm.
are there little things that you've picked up over time where you could maybe cut it off early, or is it just something that occurs?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few signs that I had noticed. Each time was a little bit different from the next, but unfortunately, there's not too many things that we can do to really catch this ahead of time. Moving forward, we're going to continue to do some ultrasounds on my arm just to make sure that the blood's flowing through the arteries properly. So we'll get with the medical staff just to see exactly how often we're going to be doing those. It could be once a month, could be once a homestand, I don't think we've really necessarily decided at this point yet, but that's kind of going to be the plan moving forward.
One last thing. How seriously did retirement enter your mind, particularly after the last time?
Honestly, it was probably on my mind for about 5 minutes. I think that was maybe the initial thought, once I got to the hospital, but once the doctors decided and came up with a plan and we talked with the vascular surgeons and everything like that, to me it was more like, hey, there are more things that can be accomplished, at least within my arm. Hopefully they can get to the root cause of it, which theoretically they think that they did. So the retirement aspect never really crossed my mind for more than a few minutes.
One more question. In all that research and stuff, knowing how studious you are, is it because of pitching that it happens, or could it happen to you just in normal life if you were just out there being Joe Blow on the street?
The consensus has seemed to be that it has been from the pitching. We ruled out all of the genetic testing. I had actually done some genetic testing after the first time it happened in 2016, and we did follow-up tests this past, after when I was out in Denver before I went back to Philadelphia to get the thoracic outlet surgery. So we really made sure that we went through everything that every doctor could possibly think of, and I passed all of those tests. So the consensus ended up being, because they ruled everything else out, that it was just traumatic trauma from just throwing.
Well, thank you. Selfishly, I'm glad that you're back.
Thanks, Tracy.
All right, time for 3 more. We'll go to Pat Graham, then David, and finish up with Thomas. Pat, go ahead.
Hey, Scott, I echo what Tracy said about glad you're back. Great to see you throw yesterday. Hey, and I know that we don't help with this, but how do you get to a point where it's no longer on your mind after anything? And you're just a pitcher again. You're not thinking about this, or can you ever get to that point?
I think off the field, there's always going to be some thoughts about it, just because it's happened, multiple times at this point. But when I'm out there, I'm competing and I'm trying to execute my game plan. So, when I'm in the midst of it, I'm not really thinking about anything outside of, what I'm trying to do with this particular batter and this particular pitch. Outside of that, there might be some thoughts of, can this occur again? Will it occur again? Whatever else. But, when I'm out there, it's all business.
And last question for me is there someone maybe you turn to just for advice, for help? I mean, I know you talked about this before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, luckily I've been around a few guys that have gone through this. I've talked to Daniel Bard a handful of times about this. He had gone through thoracic outlet decompression. And this past off-season, this past winter, I've connected with Chris Archer a lot. He had gone through the same procedure. I think he had his surgery a couple of months ahead of myself. So, I kind of leaning on him, seeing what his experience was like, seeing where he was at, his rehab, and he had actually made his spring training debut yesterday, so it was kind of cool for both of us to get out there yesterday.
All right, we'll go to David Leroy from Fangraphs. David, go ahead.
Hey, Scott, what do your pitch metrics look like this spring? The spin rate, efficiency, movement profile, et cetera. Are they basically back to normal?
They're getting there. They're not exactly, maybe where I would like them to be, but I still got some time. There's still some little things in my delivery that I need to clean up to get them back to, where exactly I want them to be. Normally I'm not really a big high spin rate guy to begin with, so, I primarily rely on the execution and the command, and that's something that seems to play for me personally is being able to throw the ball down, at least establish the fastball down, and then I can work up in the zone when I need to and throw my changeup and my slider off of my fastball. So, so for me, the command is more important than some of the other metrics. I'll definitely look at the spin efficiency, just to make sure that I am getting behind the baseball and spinning it the way that I want to, and it's not doing anything goofy, whether I'm cutting it or or sinking it or whatever else like that. So that's one of the things that I am paying attention to. But primarily, at this point, I'm more focused on just making sure that I'm able to command the fastball on both sides of the plate.
All right, Thomas Harding, finish up for us.
Okay, how do you feel today after pitching yesterday?
Today, yeah, I'm a little sore, but it's a good sore, and it's kind of right in line where I've been at the last couple of times that I've taken the day after I've taken the ball. So it's encouraging. I'll go out there and play catch a little bit, probably keep it light today, but just monitor everything, make sure everything is feeling good. Hit the checklist and kind of go from there. So ideally, I'll be feeling a lot better tomorrow, and continue from there.
Have you talked? Were you able to text or talk with Archer? And have you talked or texted with him?
Yeah. I reached out to him yesterday after I saw his line, and just congratulated him on that. And so it's kind of been fun, I think, for both of us. I can't speak for him, but it's been fun for me to be able to follow his progress. The same way that I'm following my own. So it's nice to have somebody kind of in the trenches with you, so to speak.
This does tend to happen to overhead athletes and pitchers. Do you guys almost have, I hate to say, I don't want to make it sound trivial, but almost like a club of, thoracic outlet guys who kind of know what they're talking about and can really speak to each other? Do you guys, whether it's a text group or just on the phone?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any necessarily a group of guys that we have a group text with. It just seems to be individual guys. It certainly does happen to overhead athletes. It can be a rare thing. It does seem to be happening a little bit more frequently in the last couple of years, but yeah, just some of the guys that I've known. I got put in touch with Chris Archer through a place back home, I believe. They had been in contact with him, and having Daniel here in the clubhouse has been great too. So it's always nice to be able to lean on somebody and talk to them and figure out what their own experiences have been, and then I can kind of relate with my own going through this multiple times myself. So
Hey, thanks.
All right, I think that's all we have. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate the time this morning.